So we'll make our way to our mats. I've got a practice for you today, which is quite low to the ground. We'll stay quite low to the ground, and we're going to think actually primarily sort of thinking about hip. I'm always loath to say thinking about hips, because when yoga teachers say thinking about hips, people always get a bit nervous and think, oh no, hips, that means, you know, pain and deep stretching. That's not necessarily the way I'm thinking about hips today. I'm thinking about hips in terms of finding that mobility, especially thinking about sort of external and internal rotation. So we'll play with a few different movements that are going to take that kind of full range of movement through the hip joint, and also think about building a bit of strength up this outside seam of the hip, where it's actually really useful to be able to lift the leg away from the body with strong muscles there. So we're actually going to start laying down on our back. So you can take your time in getting down. I'm just going to set my timer, because otherwise I've got a horrible habit of overrunning, and I don't want to keep you guys here for an hour and a half. So I'll just start my timer now. And if you are working with the playlist that accompanies this practice, you're very welcome to hit play if you are going to use that. I will just do the same thing so that I'm in the same boat as you all. There we go, beautiful. All right, so bring yourself down to lay on your back and take your time in getting there. Take your time in making yourself comfortable. There isn't a rush to suddenly be still. There's no expectation that you're suddenly going to end up in a perfect yogic state of mind immediately. Like, that's unrealistic. So if there are wiggles and stretches or movements that you need to make as you bring yourself down to the floor, you're very welcome to do that. As we come into the start of this practice, you can find whatever position you like. Your hands can rest on your belly or by your sides. Your legs could be stretched out straight, or you could have soles of the feet on the floor and the knees gently pointing up towards the ceiling. Finding your way down to your comfortable position, we'll spend the first few moments just dropping into the body. And what I mean by that is beginning to become aware of how the body is in this moment. We do that by finding stillness. And by starting to find a sensation of quiet in the body, in the mind. It's almost as though we take a step back at the beginning of the practice and try to drop into the role of observer. We do our best to simply watch how the body is and what's happening in the body. And there's no judgment. We're not here to become involved with the sensations that we're feeling. We're just here to watch them. Notice the way the breath moves in the body and the sensations that might go along with that. As best you can, stick with an easy breath. An easy, relaxed breath is going to be our North Star throughout this whole practice. So if you do find yourself working with a laboured breath or accidentally holding the breath, that might be a sign that you've gone too far. You could be pushing too hard, and you might want to back off. When you feel ready, we'll start to wake the body up by maybe wiggling fingers and toes. Perhaps you want to roll the wrists and the ankles. Make any little movements you like, perhaps stretching the body out long. And eventually we're going to all meet here together with the soles of the feet on the floor, the knees pointed up towards the ceiling, and the arms up and overhead. And you've got choices about how you can position your hands. You could choose to bring both hands onto the back of the head as though you were lying in the sunshine on the beach, or you could choose to keep the head on the floor and just catch hold of opposite elbows overhead, creating a box shape. So depending on what feels more accessible for your shoulders, you'll choose whichever variation you prefer. And with this grip, our aim is to keep the upper body reasonably still while we start to manipulate, mobilize the lower body. We're simply going to roll on the feet and drop both knees towards our right. The feet will stay where they are, your windscreen wipering knees to the right. Upper body stays where it is. You're going to draw the knees back through to center. And then you'll simply drop the knees over to your left. So you're going to keep this movement going. And you might choose to match it up with your breath. So it might be that you inhale to center and exhale to drop the knees. As you make your way through the movement, you are welcome to intensify the sensation by adding a little pressure through the feet. So perhaps as you take the knees to the left, you might push into the right foot. And perhaps as you take the knees to the right, you might push into the left foot. We'll go for one more stretch on each side, just making sure you feel like things are reasonably even in the body. When you've come to your last kind of rotation like this, we'll draw the knees back through to center. We're going to release any grip that we've got with the hands and just reach the arms up overhead, and then let the hands gently work their way down by your sides. And you can take a bit of time feeling the shoulder blades come into contact with the floor. When the hands come down by the sides, the palms are facing down towards the floor, and you're going to just bring the feet a little closer. Close enough that when you reach down the length of your body, you could potentially brush the back of your heel with your fingertips. They're not so close that you can grab and hold onto your ankles. They're just close enough. Feet firmly planted. We're going to start to mobilize through the spine, taking our inhale breath to pull the belly button down and feel the tailbone scoop up. So pressing the back body into the floor. And then exhaling to take it the other way, pressing the tailbone down and feeling the back arch away from the mat, as if you are rolling the pelvis into the floor. And taking it back the other way. And again, we'll just keep it going. Match it up with your own breath. Go for sort of 3 more breaths here. And taking maybe a last rotation. Okay, we're going to make that a little bigger. We're going to bring the back body to neutral and press down into the feet. We're going to include the arms as we work our way into a rolling bridge. And often we come to bridge at the end of a practice. But today we're going to bring it in at the beginning and just see how it feels. Taking your inhale breath, you'll push the feet into the floor and sweep the arms up overhead as you lift through the hips. The arms will reach up and overhead, creating length in the front of the body. And it does not have to be that you lift the hips very high. They don't want to go necessarily all the way to your maximum. Your next exhale breath, you'll allow the arms to lower, the back body to roll back to the mat. And we're going to keep that going, matched up with the breath. We inhale to rise. And we exhale to lower. As you lower, you're rippling upper back, then middle back, then lower back, then the tailbone, and you roll up in the same direction. Perhaps noticing the muscles of the legs and the core start to light up now, start to feel a little bit more engaged, a little bit more involved with the movement. We're going to go for one more, taking your time with it, really finding that length through the front of the body, maybe feeling your quadriceps, fronts of the thighs active, exhaling to lower down. This time when you lower all the way to the bottom, you're very welcome to bring the knees into the chest and just give yourself a little hug. Maybe you want to rock and roll slightly from side to side or roll the knees in a circle. You'll notice as we work through this practice together that in my classes I offer a lot of suggestions. I offer alternatives. You can roll or you can rock. Whatever works for you, there'll be more of that coming. Hands are going to slide to the backs of your knees, and you're actually going to rock and roll gently up and down the spine. So provided this feels all right in your body, if it doesn't feel great, you're very welcome to simply roll over gently onto your side, and we'll come up that way to sit. So taking your time, bringing yourself eventually up to find a comfortable seat, and we'll meet there. You're going to immediately, more or less, turn around, and we're going straight to all fours. So where we normally maybe perhaps sit for a period of our practice, we're going to roll straight over to all fours and just start to find again some more mobilization, some more movement in the back body. Hands are coming underneath your shoulders. All 5 fingers are spread wide. You're especially thinking about anchoring down this L shape on the inside of the hand. Your index finger knuckle presses down into the mat. When that index finger knuckle peels away from the floor, that's when we find ourselves with wrist pain. So keeping that finger anchored down. Knees are stacked underneath your hips, and chances are you probably know where we're going. We're headed straight into cat-cow here. So on the inhale breath, we're going to let the tailbone lift, the belly drop low, the chest pulls through between the biceps, the gaze lifts. Exhaling, you're going to press hands into the floor, tuck the tailbone underneath you, pull the belly button away, look back towards your knees. Inhale, belly drops low. You're going to keep this movement going. If you feel like you know it, fantastic. You'll keep it going, and you might be able to listen to what I'm about to ask you to do. If you're not sure about it, don't worry too much about following my next instruction. Just work on getting that flexion and extension in the back body. If you feel quite comfortable here with this cat-cow and sticking with your own breath and your own rhythm, see if you can think about the cat-cow originating from one place in the body and rippling out like a wave. So for me, I start with my tailbone. My tailbone tucks, then my belly lifts, then my shoulders lift, then my gaze tucks on the exhale. And on the inhale, my tailbone lifts, my belly drops low, my chest pulls through, and my head unfurls laugh. So perhaps you can choose a part of the body to begin your movement and let it ripple out from there. Go for 2 more breaths at your own pace. And then when you're ready, bring yourself very gently back to neutral in the spine. So coming back to neutral, we're going to start to find a little bit of movement through the lower body, through the hips. We will come off the wrists shortly, so don't worry if you're finding the wrists are getting tired. What we're going to do is anchor down the left knee, make sure it's solid, so that we can lift the right knee at exactly this right angle up behind us. And if you find that you lift it high and it sinks your lower back down and you're aggravating the lower back, drop the knee down. You don't have to lift it high. So you want it lifted at that right angle. The knee is going to begin to draw a circle. It's going to pull in and underneath the body, push the floor away. It goes up and round, out to the side, and then it comes down and in. I'm actually going to turn around because I think you can see it better if I spin myself around. So you keep that rotation going, and perhaps you can match it up with your breath. The knee comes in underneath, up towards the chest. It goes up and over, out to the side, and then it drops in and down at the back. Keep it going. So trying to draw a circle with the knee. And you might notice that actually it's a bit interesting to balance like this. You might find yourself naturally bending the elbows. If you're doing that, great. It is much easier for us to balance the body on hydraulic springs with a bit of bounce than it is to balance the body on 2 rock solid sticks. So let the elbows bend. When you're ready, rotate it back the other way. The knee goes up and back. It comes over and in and under and down. You might find the muscles in the shoulders, the arms are beginning to light up a little bit. You might notice some interesting heat building in the glutes. That's good. We're after that. We'll go for 1 more breath. And then this time, as the leg comes under and through, send it back behind you, tuck the toes and let the heel reach for the back of your mat. Long through the back of that leg, hopefully feels lovely now. Hopefully feels like a kind of nice place to really reach the body out long. your choice how much pressure you put into the hands. You're welcome to really push into the hands and drive the heel back for a big stretch in the calf, the Achilles tendon, or you might ease off. Or you can rock backwards and forwards between the two. When you feel ready, you're going to use your inhale breath and really fire up that stretch. Take it all the way back. Big inhale, press into the hands. Exhale, release the tension from the foot and let the foot just gently float away from the ground. Right heel up in line with the right hip. Nice. Pull the belly in. If you feel like you've got stability here, see if you can get your left hand to come lighter on the mat. Maybe you can come lightly onto your left fingertips. Pull the belly in, and if you've got it, you're welcome to extend left arm out long. Remember, the neck is part of the spine here. So you're going to keep your gaze down towards the floor. The neck is included as part of the back body. Your breath is steady, remember. If you're holding your breath, you might back off a little bit. Take an inhale here. Exhale, push the floor away. Draw the knee in and underneath the body, tucking yourself into a little ball. We're going 2 more of those. Inhaling to lengthen. Trying not to rush. Exhaling to pull the knee in. There is a break coming. Go 1 more time. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, drive. Knee in towards the chest. Push the floor away. Round in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, let the left hand find the floor. Let the left knee find the floor. We're going to give the wrists a bit of a breather. So tucking the toes underneath you, if that's accessible for you. You're going to bring your body weight back. Sitting hips to heels, if it works. If it's just way too intense to sit hips to heels, you bring the body weight away and you let the toes tuck. So you get a bit of a stretch for the feet, but you're not really forcing the feet into anything they don't want to do. And then it's really simple. I'm just going to give the wrists a roll. Nothing technical here. Just give the wrist a little bit of a roll. Probably especially that right wrist. Might want a bit of attention. You could start to, if you wanted to, maybe include the shoulders. A bit of a roll through the shoulders. Get the elbows involved. You can make these movements as big or as small as you'd like. Whatever you're up to, whatever you're doing, can you reverse it? Can you bring it back the other way? Just getting a bit of mobility. You'll know, your body will tell you what it will feel good to do in the upper body. So do that. And then gradually we'll work our way back. Hands find the floor 1 more time. We're going to do that little sequence from the hip all the way through on the left. So hands find the floor. Take your time in getting there. When the hands come down to find the floor and you untuck the toes if they've been tucked underneath, sometimes it feels really good to kind of just give them a little paddle on the floor, a little drum against the floor. The feet a little tap to wake them up. And then from there, when you've found yourself in neutral, we'll start that movement on the left. So we're going to find stability through the right knee so that we can take the left foot and bring it back up behind us. Ideally looking to keep that right angle and not to drop the belly. So keeping it in a place where the belly can stay switched on, the back body can be neutral. From here, we draw the knee into the chest and start on that circle, rotating up and out. And then round and down. You might be able to pair this with your breath. So it might be the inhale brings it through and the exhale sends it back. You might find one side is much trickier than the other. That's cool, don't worry about it. That is true for just about everybody. We are not symmetrical creatures. We do things all day, every day that ensure that we are different on both sides. So don't worry if it feels odd. Aiming for that circle. Mine is a little more like an oval on the left for sure. I find this definitely trickier. When you're ready, you're going to change direction and bring it back the other way. It comes under and lifts up to drive over and through. Keep breathing. Again, if you're holding the breath, that might be a sign you want your circle to be smaller, or you could move slower. Go for 1 more rotation. And then left leg's extending out back behind you. Left toes are tucked underneath. Kind of moment of relief. I'm just moving forward so you can see me. Your toes are tucked underneath. And it's your choice how much you choose to push back into that left heel. You can really press through the hands, or you can ease off, or you can rock backwards and forwards into and out of the tension. When you feel ready, inhale, really fire up the stretch to your limit. Exhale, let the foot float away from the floor. Left heel lifts up in line with the left hip. You know where we're going? We're going just 3 breaths, you've got it. So fingertips can come light on your right hand. And if you want to, you're welcome to include the right arm, stretching the right arm out long. Remember, the neck is part of the spine. Inhale here. Exhale, drive in, elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale to pull everything in under the body. Really push into the left hand. Make space for the knee to come underneath you. Last one. Exhale to pull in. Lengthen out, stretch everything out long. Exhale, left hand to the floor, left knee to the floor. Tucking the toes if that feels good for you. Let's come back, sit hips to heels. Draw yourself back, take your time. Maybe give the wrists a roll, give the shoulders a roll. Have a little wiggle. Nice. From here, we're going to draw ourselves back onto the mat. And we're going to work to come up into our downward facing dog. We're using this downward facing dog as a transition, but also as a bit of an opportunity to kind of get to grips with how downward facing dog feels today. So it feels different every time you practice it. So let's take our time in getting there, bringing the hands to the floor, spreading fingers out wide, anchoring down through your index finger. You're going to tuck the toes and drive the hips back to the heels. And I use this little visualization to help me come into downward facing dog. So you're welcome to come along with me. If you're quite happy just going for it in your own way, that's fine. You can do that as well. If you want to come with me, I like to really press hands into the floor and think about driving the hips back towards the heels as though I was kind of coiling a spring. I'm creating tension in the body. And if I am just going to let go through my hands, my body will move forwards. So I push so hard with my hands, if I were to let go, my body returns to press forwards. I'm going to harness that power. Inhaling to push into the hands, coil the spring, and instead of letting go forwards, you're going to let the hips unfurl. The hips rise high. You might choose to adjust your hands and feet, your positioning. You might choose to walk out through the legs. The sensation that you are after in your downward facing dog to think about at the very start is the body weight driving up and back. If you let the body weight come down and forwards, you end up in what is probably just the world's most uncomfortable push-up. So really press body weight up and back. Give the weight of the heavy pelvis back to the legs. Bend in the knees if you'd like it. Heels do not have to touch the floor. Hips are lifting high. Take an inhale breath here. Exhale, maybe have a sigh through your mouth. Let it go. We're going to do one more. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, let it go. Inhale to look forwards between your hands. Exhale to walk your feet underneath your hips. And then just let the body dangle. So you can bend your knees a lot here. You can have the knees quite bent. You can let the hands hang, or you can grab hold of opposite elbows. You're going to let the head go. Let the neck be soft. Let the body dangle over the legs. And if being in a forward fold is not comfortable for you because tension in the backs of the legs or it doesn't feel good in your lower back, try bending the knees a bit more and resting the elbows on the knees as you let the body hang forward. So you've got this option. If you know that a forward fold doesn't feel good for you, you've got that little supported version instead. From here, when you're ready, we're going to work our way into a roll up to stand. So releasing any grip you've got in the hands, you're going to bend the knees a lot. Push the feet into the floor and let the power for this movement come from that press down. Tuck the tailbone underneath you as you begin to pull the belly in, and you're going to very slowly, slower than you think possible, stack one vertebrae of the back on top of the next, like you were clicking Lego blocks into place. Go super slow until the shoulder blades slide onto the back body and the head comes up, last stacking in the neck. Take a breath in total stillness if you can. When you're ready, step up to the top of the space you're practicing in. So if you're working with the mat, you'll be at the short edge of your mat. If you're just working on the floor, the top of the space you've got is perfect. Find yourself there. Feet firmly planted, roughly. This is a little telltale thing in my classes. I say roughly hip width distance apart all the time, but my feet are always wider than hip width distance. So what I really mean when I say roughly hip width distance is my code word for however you feel comfortable. So just make sure your feet feel like they are at a good distance for you. You might want to think about picking up all your toes, spreading them out wide and anchoring them down into the ground, just feeling the feet really engaged with the floor. Find yourself in stillness there at the top of the space you're working in, and just see if you're able to put a little bit of softness into your knees. And again, this is similar to your elbows. It's much easier to balance on a slightly bent elbow than it is on completely straight locked out limbs. So if you can put that little spring into your knees, when we inhale and reach our arms up, it doesn't just come from the shoulders. So the difference would be, if my legs are locked out straight, it looks like this. It's just moving from my shoulders, nothing else is involved. If I take a little bend into my knees, that inhale breath rises all the way up from the floor, and it becomes a much more of a full body movement. That's what we're interested in. So somewhere near the top of your mat, a little bit of softness in at the knees, a little buoyancy in the body. And when you're ready, inhale slowly, take the arms up and overhead. Exhaling as if you're holding something very fragile and expensive in your hands that you need to put gently down on the floor. You're going to bring it all the way down and place that super fragile, very expensive vase down on the ground. Slide your hands up the fronts of your thighs as you flatten the back body into your halfway lift. Exhale, fold your way in, long over the legs, let the knees bend, bend, bend as much as you need them to. Fingertips are going to find the floor here, and you're going to step your right leg back long behind you. Right leg steps back long, right knee immediately comes down to find the ground. And if you'd like to, you're very welcome to put a cushion, a pillow, or a folded up blanket underneath your right knee for a bit of extra padding, just so that it doesn't feel gritty or crunchy if you're working on a hard floor. From here, untucking the back toes, just check you feel steady. And by steady, I mean, there might be some wobbling, the muscles might have to do some work to control you, but you're not going to fall over as we sweep our fingertips along the floor, and up in front and overhead. We're bringing ourselves to a completely neutral, upright position. Imagine the body like a thunderbolt, reaching up towards the ceiling. Everything is stretched up straight. This right hip here, on the inside, you might be feeling some stretch there. You might not be, but if you're already in that place of stretch, just go mindfully into where we're going next. Inhale to reach up. Exhale to slide the hands onto the back of the head, spread the elbows out wide, interlacing the fingers, the hands come onto the back of the head. And from here, we're going to use the elbows to steer us. Inhaling to open up, lift the chest, elbows widen. Exhaling, the elbows close in, and it's almost as if the points of your elbows want to tap against the fronts of your hips. They won't, don't worry about it. But that's the intention, that's the direction you're going. Inhale to open up. Exhale to close in. So draw the elbows up and over, down and in. You're not pulling against the back of the head. You're just using the elbows as a guide. We'll go twice more. If your legs are shaking, if your belly is really having to do a lot of work here to stabilize you, stop you falling over, great. That is the strong leg, strong hip flexor stuff that we are interested in getting to. We'll go one more time. Inhale to open up. Exhale to close in. Come into that rounded position, all the way to the bottom. And then simply let the fingertips come down and find the floor. You might find that you're in a little bit more of a rounded shape now. Both hands are on the inside of your left foot. And you're going to inhale, walk yourself forwards, let your chest snake forwards and let your gaze lift. You've brought yourself into a little baby lizard. It doesn't have to be a huge movement, but there might feel like a lot is going on in the left hip or in the front of the right thigh. Take an inhale breath here. Exhale, back off a little bit so you can put your whole palm of the hand down on the floor if it wasn't there already. Interesting little transition for you, especially if you're on a sticky yoga mat, makes it much more difficult, but that's good. You're going to press with the hands so you can drag the left foot back until it is roughly level with the right knee. It's not an easy transition. So if you get stuck, a good tip is to grab the left foot with the left hand and help lift it back. So if you get stuck, that's your way out. And from here, we found ourselves in this little asymmetric all fours position. We've got the left foot on the floor, pointed out at a 45-degree angle. We've got the right knee roughly hip width distance away from the left foot, and the hands stacked underneath the shoulders. We're just going to start to move. Rock the body backwards and forwards, into and out of the stretch in that left hip. Keeping it under control, a place where you can work a really easy, comfortable breath. You might start to take the body side to side. This is everybody's sort of least favourite part of class with me. I'm going to lead you into a place where there are no instructions. You can move however you want to move here. So I'll give you lots of suggestions, don't worry. You might continue bringing the body weight backwards and forwards. You might look at something a little bit snakier, like maybe a circle. You might come up on your left toes and lift your left heel. You might come up on your left heel and lift your left toes if you can. See how it feels to just take the body off in all directions. Don't forget your elbows bend. When you're ready, let's start to make the movement bigger, including your left arm. Everybody loves this bit because it sort of feels like the kind of full expression of the shape. So left arm can lift up towards the ceiling. It can rock you forwards. It can sweep you backwards. It can draw a big circle if you want. You can take that left arm off in any direction you like. And if you're not sure, if you really don't know what to do with the left arm here, find one movement that sort of suits your body, and you can just repeat that one movement a couple of times and see how it goes. When you feel ready, when you stretch roughly evenly, you've done what you're doing here, bring that left hand back to the floor. Left hand comes back to the floor, left knee matches up with the right knee. Nice. Tuck the toes underneath you. Press into the hands, coil the spring, big inhale. Exhale, send the hips up high for your downward facing dog. You're welcome to adjust your hands and feet. You're welcome to pedal off the legs if you'd like to. Shake the head no, nod the head yes. Any little movements that feel good. When you feel ready, bring yourself back to stillness. Take an inhale breath, look up between your hands. Exhale, walk your feet in underneath your hands and let the body hang over the legs. Remember, you've got that supported variation if you'd rather for your forward fold. From here, put a bend in your knees. Anchor down through the feet so that when you lift up, it moves from the floor. Big inhale, sweeps the arms up overhead. Rise to stand. Exhale, you're going to bring the hands down however you like, maybe through heart center or maybe out wide by your sides, whatever suits you, whatever feels good in your body, you do that thing and then pause, stillness. Notice how the stillness feels. Amazing, you're going to go through that exactly the same on the other side. So I'll stand up here so you can see it from the other side. Feet are planted at their comfortable distance, whatever that feels like for you. Anchor down through the feet, a little bit of softness at the knees. Inhale, the arms are rising up and overhead. Exhaling, as if you were holding that super fragile, incredibly expensive collector's item vase, you're going to place it gently down on the ground. Slide the hands up the fronts of the legs as you inhale. Exhale to fold, back in long over the legs. Fingertips find the ground to keep you steady as you step the left leg back behind you. Left leg steps back long, left knee gently finds the floor. Add some extra padding under the left knee if you want to. Just make sure that you're not going to feel any discomfort or any pain in that kneecap. Untuck the toes, check that you're steady, and here we go, big inhale. Sweeps the arms up and overhead, rising all the way up to a perfectly upright sort of thunderbolt position to start off with. Just so we're bringing ourselves into neutral to begin with, we get ourselves steady. So if you're wobbling all over the place, this is where you make your adjustments, in this neutral shape. Take your inhale breath, reach up. Exhale, slide the hands onto the back of the head, elbows spread out wide. So the elbows are reaching out left and right. And on your inhale, you can lean the head into the hands a little bit as you lift the chest, spread out through the elbows. Exhale, you're going to lift the elbows up and over, the elbows close in, and it's as if they want to touch the front of the hips. Don't worry, they will not touch the front of the hips. Take an inhale, expand up and out. Exhale to draw in. We're going to go one more. Expanding up and out, lifting through the elbows, lifting through the chest. Exhale to close in, elbows up and over. All the way down to your lowest point, and then let the hands reach down and find the floor. Fingertips on the mat. So you're in this rounded back position. Both hands are on the inside of your right foot. You're going to use your inhale breath to creep forwards, to lengthen the chest forwards, to maybe lift the gaze into a little baby lizard pose. Probably quite a big stretch down the back of the right thigh and in the front of the left hip. Exhaling, you're going to back off so that you can put both palms of the hands firmly down on the floor so that you can work that interesting transition of dragging this right foot back. So a little bit of a press into the hands as you pull right foot back in line with left. And what you're noticing there, that is tricky because you're doing that using the strength on the outside of the hip, of the thigh. And for lots of us, that's just not super strong. I definitely feel that that is a hard place to get active. So we found ourselves back in this asymmetric base, and we're just going to start to rock backwards and forwards. This is where you can start. This is where you can always come back to. If you're not sure of what we're doing, if it doesn't feel right, you always come back here. Breath is steady, easy and relaxed. You might be able to bump the hips from side to side. Don't forget you've got bent elbows if you need them. It's amazing the things that our brain can forget we're able to do to make our life a bit easier. Maybe you get into something a little bit snakier. You start to roll through the foot. You start to take the body in, maybe more in like a circle. Maybe you include a bit of movement at the knee. When you feel ready, you're going to start to bring this right hand into the movement. Really as expressive as you like, as creative as you like. It is your practice, your kind of movement to do whatever you want with. If you're not sure what to do, pick one thing that feels good, that feels interesting. It could just be opening and closing the chest. That could be where you want to stay. And do that thing until it feels like that thing's going to lead you into something else, or until the end of the time that we're here. Taking your final sort of breath here to just check that you're even, that you've sort of done things in both directions as best you can. And then the right hand makes its way back to the floor. The right knee matches up with the left knee. We ease off in that hip, tucking the toes. We're going to press back, coil the spring. Inhale. Exhale, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. You've got a couple of breaths here to just steady yourself, to maybe have a pedal, a wiggle, a stretch, whatever you feel like you need. And then when you're ready, inhale, you'll look forwards between the hands. Exhale, you'll walk the feet underneath the hips, and you'll let the body hang just for a moment. When you're ready, there's a bend in the knees and the power comes up from the ground. You draw up as you inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, your choice how the hands come down. Pause in total stillness at the bottom. Very nice. Make your way back to the top of the space you're working in. So similar but different in our second float through. Find yourself somewhere near the top of your space. Anchor down through your feet. When you feel ready, Buoyancy at the knees. It's a whole body movement. You inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, this time a little more sweepy into your forward fold. You're welcome to swan dive, long over the legs if that feels better. Instantly we go to our halfway lift, inhaling to flatten the back body as if you were trying to press your spine and the back of your neck and the back of your head against the underside of a table. Exhale, you'll lower down. All the way down, all the way down. Fingertips find the floor. Right foot this time, stepping back long behind you. And we're just going to pause here for a moment. So fingertips are on the floor. You've got a slight, you can have a slight bend in your back knee, so you don't have to go out to totally rigid legs. And we're just going to play around with shifting the body weight forwards and backwards. So just sort of toying with how much space is there here? How much movement is there? Take a last breath. You'd be surprised how quickly that feels very fiery in the front thigh. Bring it forwards and gently let the right knee find the ground. So from here, we draw ourselves up to the neutral lunge position that we had right at the start, but from there we'll go to somewhere else. Inhale to lift it up. Exhale to let the hips slide slightly forwards. So what we've not done is let the hips collapse forwards and down. I'll show you the difference. This would be forwards and down. So really letting that bend into the knee. You're going to let the hips slide forwards as best you can. Try not to let them drop down. Lovely. From here, we're going to start to flow it backwards and forwards. An inhale breath draws the thumbs back, lifts the gaze, lifts the chest. An exhale breath slides the fingertips to the floor as the hips move back. You're going to work to straighten this left leg. And the first time we do this, it is always clunky. The foot is always too close to the body. So take this left foot and just move it slightly further away from you so you can get straight in the left leg. Left toes are lifting up towards your face. You're in your runner's lunge. The fingertips are very light on the ground. Hips are reaching to the back of the room. Take an inhale here. Exhale to melt over that front thigh as best you're able to. Let's put those two together. So stability in the thighs, in the hips, in the belly. As you inhale, stepping into the skin of the left foot, you'll sweep the arms overhead, lift the thumbs back, lift the thumbs to the back of the room, lift the chest. Exhale to reverse, hips travel back in space, left leg straightens, left toes lift, fingertips find the floor. Keep it going. With your breath, the inhale, you rise up. The exhale, you lower down and forward, straightening the left leg, coming into that hamstring stretch. I'm going to go one more time. Try not to hurry in and out. If you need to have a wobble, but try not to rush to the end point. Exhale to reverse, straightening up the left leg. From this position, with your straight left leg, you're going to bring the left hand onto the inside of the left knee. You're familiar with this. You're going to let the left toes turn out to about a 45-degree angle. And as you inhale, creep the body forwards as you draw yourself back to your lizard. So in lizard, we really do let the hips drop forwards and down. This left foot can move further away from you to give you more space if you'd like. Your left knee points in the same direction as your left toes, but the toes can be turned out to about a 45-degree angle. Again, just to get you a bit more room if you want it. Your choice here. If this feels like very intense for you, this feels like enough, stay here, breathe here. If you feel like you've got it and you're interested, you're very welcome to tuck those right toes and pop the right knee off the floor, bringing yourself into an active version of this lizard pose. Taking a steady breath. If you have not yet tucked the toes underneath and pop the knee, bring the knee away from the mat, but only so you can step the left foot back to match the right foot and meet us in a strong plank pose. At the very top of your press up, take an inhale breath. Exhale gently releases the knees to the floor. You've got another inhale here. Exhale, see if you can get the body to come down to the mat in one piece. Try not to let any part of the body sag towards the ground. Once you're down on the mat, we come into a little version of our cobra, something slightly different that works with these strong parts of the body we're interested in today. By releasing the forehead to the floor and bringing the palms of the hands onto the back of the head. Interlacing the fingers, the elbows reach out left to right. On your inhale breath, you're going to press down through the feet. Squeeze the bum and rise up. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to lower. We'll go twice more. Inhale to rise up. It doesn't have to be a big movement. Exhale to lower down. Last one. Inhale, lift. Exhale to lower. Bring the hands underneath your shoulder blades. Tucking your toes, press your hips back to your heels. Coil the spring when you're ready. You know where you're going, you're headed for downward facing dog. As you exhale, hips travel high and we'll meet there. You're welcome to move, to pedal, shimmy, shake. Nod the head, shake the head, any little movement that you want. When you feel ready, inhale, you'll look forwards. Exhale, you'll walk the feet in. Let the body hang out over the legs. It's a movement that comes all the way up from the ground. When you inhale, you'll sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, your choice how the hands come down. When you get to the bottom of this exhale breath, pause in total stillness for a breath if you can. Nice. Exactly the same pattern we float through on the other side. So when you're ready, we meet back at the top of the mat. Little spring in the knees. Inhale, you'll rise up. Exhale to dive into that forward fold. Inhale as your halfway lift. Flatten the back body. I could iron clothes to a perfectly flat crisp on the back. Exhale to lower down. Fingertips to find the floor, sending the left leg back behind you. Pop some padding underneath the left knee if you need it. Before we bring the knee down, we're just going to see how it feels to shift this body weight. Forwards and backwards. Your fingertips are light on the ground. You can have a bend in both knees at all times if you'd rather. You don't ever have to come to straight. Notice how quickly the story starts in that front leg. The front leg starts to say, I'm tired, I'd like to stop. Keep going, last breath. Gently release the left knee to the ground. Onto your padding if you need it. Find yourself steady there. Untuck the left toes. Inhale, fingertips sweep forwards to rise up. Come to neutral first. So take your time in getting to neutral, and remember, this is where you can adjust. If you think that foot is just way too far away or too close to the body or something's wrong, this is your moment to reset if you need it to. Inhale, you'll reach up. Exhale, your thumbs draw towards the back of the room as your hips slide forward slightly. So we're sort of nudging our way towards a back bend here. Exhaling, we're going to sweep the fingertips to the ground as we begin to draw the hips back. Don't forget, this first one, there's never enough space. So if you need to, move this right foot forwards. Right heel digs into the ground, right toes pull back hard towards your face, and you'll lengthen the body over the right leg. You're light on your fingertips. Lovely. So we'll start to string those together. Inhaling to step into the skin of the right foot, sweep the fingertips along the mat, lift. Draw the thumbs to the back of the room. Gaze looking up, but not crunching in the neck. Exhale, you'll slide back. Toes lift. Right leg straight. Fingertips find the floor. Keep it going with your own breath. Inhale to rise up. You picture the body here, a perfect wave. Pulling into and away from the shore. Inhale, rise up. Last one, exhale, we'll float our way down and forwards, lifting the right toes, coming into that hamstring stretch, and then sliding the right hand onto the inside of the right thigh. So it comes onto the inside. So right thigh, what I mean is right leg. It can be at the calf, the knee, or the thigh, wherever you are. From here, we step into the skin of that right foot. Maybe the right foot turns out to a 45-degree angle. So maybe it touches out towards the sides. As you creep forwards, you inhale your way into your lizard. So give yourself more space if you need it. And what I mean by that, I'll just show you it from the front actually, because I think that might be useful. What I mean by giving yourself more space is take this right foot out to the side if you need a bit more room. Let the right toes turn out if you need a bit more room. Finding your way into your version of lizard, so a place where you're able to breathe, that's important. When you feel ready, if you're interested in adding it on, you're welcome to tuck the left toes, pop the left knee off the floor, and come into that very active version of lizard pose. Heel reaching back, chest pulling forwards. Inhale here. Exhale, we're stepping back to plank. Find your strong plank, take an inhale breath. Exhale, release the knees to the floor. Inhaling again. Exhaling to release the body to the floor. This is your last little set of these cobra variation type movements. I know they're not easy, so stick with your breath, whatever feels right in your breath. Hands come onto the back of the head, elbows are spread out wide. Press down through the tops of your feet, squeeze your bum, inhale, rise up. Exhale, lower. Go twice more. Exhale, lower, feeling the muscles in the back body lighting up. Inhale to rise. It doesn't have to be a big movement. Exhale to lower. Hands come under the shoulder blades. You're going to tuck the toes and press the hips back to the heels. Find your way to that coiled spring. Exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. You can move. You do not have to be still here if you don't want to. If stillness is serving you, you're welcome to stay still. But if you'd rather get a wiggle, you can go for it. When you feel ready, inhale to look forwards between your hands. Exhale to walk the feet in underneath the hands. Find yourself hanging in your forward fold. When you feel ready, inhale, rise up from the ground, sweep your way to stand. Last time, really enjoy it. Exhale, the hands travel down however you like. Pause at the bottom of your exhale breath. Easy breath, total stillness. Nice. From here, we're going to work our way down to the ground. We'll take our time in getting there, but we're going to come down through a squat pose. And if a squat pose just doesn't feel like a good fit in your body, you're welcome to skip it. And you can just meet us seated instead. If you feel like you're quite comfortable, we're going to move through a squat pose like a transition. We're on our way to seated. So if you don't want to do squat, I really encourage you to just come down and sit, and we will meet you there. If you want to move through a squat, your feet are coming out slightly wider than hip width distance apart, and your toes turn out to the side slightly. We'll take an inhale and rise up. We use our exhale to bend the knees a lot and lightly touch our fingers on the floor. So coming down to a little sort of high froggy position. If you can, you're welcome to lower the hips into a squat. You might want to take a breath here. If this doesn't feel good for you, you're coming down to sit on your bum. If you're taking your breath in squat, you're lifting through the chest. When you're ready, we'll all meet seated. Hands are going to come behind you. Guide your bum gently down to the floor and just send your feet out slightly wider. So it is almost as if you're in a seated version of squat pose, and this is where we're all going to meet up. So if you skipped squat, we'll be here. Feet are out towards the sides, 45-degree angle. Knees are pointed up towards the ceiling. You're going to give your knees a hug with your elbows, and if you can, you're welcome to clasp your hands in the center. If that's just not accessible, don't worry about it. You're just looking for elbows to hook around knees lightly. They don't have to be sort of right the way down around your calf. You're looking for just a light touch of forearm against the top of your knee. And from there, You're going to inhale and lift through your chest. This is our toad pose. And I'm going to show you it from the side actually, because I think it's useful to see it from the side. So what we're looking for is when I hook my elbows, my body rounds forwards. When I find that long breath and draw against my knees, I'm looking to straighten up through the spine, to sit up tall. We take another breath here. When you feel ready, you're going to gently let go, release your elbows, bring your feet back in. And believe it or not, we're on our way down to the ground. Scooching maybe your hips towards your heels, you'll lay the body down onto your back. Take your time and get in there. And we've got a last little bit of movement before we drop into stillness. So take your time, bring yourself gently down to the ground. When you found your way down onto the ground, we'll start with the right knee. We're going to let the right knee draw up to the chest, give it a little bit of a hug, squeeze it in maybe. And then just really softly letting the right ankle cross over the left knee. Your hands can come to rest wherever you like. We're not going to grab anything and hold anything at this point. We're just going to use our breath to do the work. So we'll inhale and think about grounding down through the belly. Exhale, imagine that right knee moving away from the body. Inhale, grounding through the belly. Exhale, right knee moving away from the body. Last breath. Notice the power that you have just using your breath. You don't need to push or pull or grab and resist any part of the body. You can just use the breath to move that knee. When you're ready, let it go. Release the right knee gently back into the hands. Unhooking the right ankle and letting the right knee find the floor. Sorry, the right foot find the floor. When you're ready, draw the left knee into the chest, the left foot lifts. We do exactly the same on the left side. So giving the left knee a little bit of a hug in towards the chest, just making a bit of space. And then gently, the left ankle crosses over the right knee. No pressure, so that comes across in just the softest way you can possibly manage. And then you start to harness the power of your breath to make it happen. Your inhale grounds your body down. Your exhale drives the left knee away. Inhale. Exhale, left knee moves away. Last breath here. When you're ready, release the left knee gently back into the hands. Left foot comes back to find the floor. You're welcome to make any final movements you would like to here, maybe rolling the knees from side to side or stretching the arms overhead. Any little movement that you want before you bring yourself down into your final relaxation. So really take your time in getting there. When you feel ready, bringing the body down into your final relaxation, which could be the legs stretched out long, but it doesn't have to be the legs stretched out long. You could keep the soles of the feet on the floor and the knees pointed up, or you could lie on your side. You can lie in any other position that feels good for you. And we'll meet here, dropping ourselves back into stillness. Dropping back into stillness and stepping back into this position of observer. Watching the sensations in the body. Watching this easy, relaxed breath come and go. Allowing softness to creep in. Perhaps coming to remind yourself that the body only ever exists in the present. The past, the future, the hypothetical, the nostalgic, that is all construction in the mind. Your body only exists right now. So see if you can observe it existing right now in this moment. When you feel ready, bring your attention, your awareness back to your breath. And as you do, notice the way you naturally deepen the breath, just very slightly. And with that deeper breath, you bring into the body new, fresh energy, new, fresh life force. Perhaps enough energy to wiggle the fingertips and the toes, to flex the feet, to roll the wrists and the ankles. Maybe you want to turn the head from side to side, waking the body up with these small, satisfying movements, only moving the body in a way that feels really good. When you feel ready, maybe there's a breath big enough to sweep the arms overhead, take a full body stretch. Wring yourself out long. And then maybe drawing the knees into the chest and giving yourself a hug. From there, gently roll yourself onto whichever side feels more appropriate for you, whichever is your favorite side to roll towards. And press yourself comfortably up to a seat. And as you bring yourself into this comfortable seat, you might keep your eyes closed or your gaze cast down towards the floor. And just soak in these final sensations of your practice. If you want to seal your practice, you're very welcome to. You might bring hands into a prayer position, you might bow the head to the heart, or bring the hands to heart center, or anything else that feels right in your body as a gesture of gratitude. Thank you so much for joining me.